Can you tell which one is the sound canva? One of these is the legendary Roland SC55. The other fits in one hand and can run on 6 AA batteries and might be one of the best kept secrets in DOS gaming. And today, we found out which is which and whether it even matters. Period correct MS-DOS gaming comes with two problems that never go away: space and cost. Machines from the golden age of DOS eat up desk real estate fast, and covering the whole era usually means running at least two systems side by side. That's the itch this space-saving series scratches. Some of you are here with me for the search of the ultimate DOS laptop. 20 plus machines, one impossible compromise. More recently, I've gone smaller still, building out industrial PC 104 systems, a 386, a 486, and a Pentium MMX. All of them barely bigger than a paperback. But a computer is only half the story. Today, I'm going after the other half, the MIDI module. This build starts with an Advantech PCM-3370 running a 650 MHz ultra-low voltage Celeron. Pull the heatsink and you'll find the VIA Twister chipset with integrated S3 Savage 4 graphics, well regarded for rock-solid DOS compatibility. It's got USB PS2 serial parallel onboard compact flash and support for up to 512 MB of SD-RAM to round out the board. Same enclosure as the last few builds. Same trusty ESS PC 104 sound card. That's the beauty of PC 104 standard. The compact flash card, memory seated, sound card stacked below, swap the motherboard, bolt the stack back together, a few screws, and you're done in minutes. Time to power it on after connecting it up. And you got a clean post, a word BIOS, no drama, exactly what you want from industrial hardware. But the computer isn't the star of today's video. If you've built a DOS machine before, you know this moment is coming. The Roland SC55, still the benchmark, still my favorite sounding module. But it's also a box, a power brick, more cables on a desk I'm actively trying to declutter. Then, after several requests from my viewers, here is the Roland PMA-5. Marketed in the 90s as a portable music workstation, but buried inside is a genuine GS-compatible Roland sound engine. Before it could prove anything, it needed a fix. Like most 90s Roland gear, the internal battery backup had long since died. It is not a very difficult repair, and there are several ways to go by. I've decided to preserve the existing connector tabs as I had only regular CR2032 batteries on hand. I also tracked down an intermittent crackling noise that would appear whenever the unit was moved. It turned out to be a dry solder joint on the audio jack. A quick solder reflow was all it needed, and the problem disappeared. With a fresh backup battery installed, it's ready for another decade of service. And now, before I turn it into a glorified MIDI box, it's worth pausing on what the PMA-5 was actually built to do. Roland didn't call it a sound canva, they called it a personal music assistant. It has a 16-bit sound chip with 28 voices polyphony and 16 parts multi-timbral. With a stylus-driven touchscreen, this composing workstation feels weirdly modern for something this old. Nearly everything runs through that touchscreen, browsing 306 instrument sounds, writing mixer levels, dialing in reverb and chorus, picking one of the 600 accompaniment styles, building up to 20 songs on the built-in 8-track sequencer, which can store up to 21,000 notes. A touch-sensitive keyboard runs along the bottom of the display, so you can audition sounds or sketch a melody without ever plugging in an external controller. Another cool feature is the ad-lib bar for live expression while you play. There's easily a whole separate video's worth of material in this thing. But that's not today's question. Today's question is simpler. Can this replace the SC55 for DOS gaming? Let's find out. Connecting it is about as simple as it gets. MIDI out from the ESS card straight into the unit, and we are ready to listen. The first thing that hit me wasn't the sound. It was how effortlessly this thing disappears into the build. Next to an SC55, the PMA-5 barely registers on the desk. For a series obsessed with footprint, that's already a win before it plays a single note. But none of that matters if it doesn't sound right. Let's listen to Duke Nukem. I believe you'll agree with me, that is really good. Now let's check Descent, darker, more atmospheric score. The PMA5 holds the mood. Quest for Glory, strings, brass, choir, all recognizably Roland. Some voicings differ from the SC55, but the family resemblance is obvious. While the SC55 still wins on a direct A-B, different samples here and there, a few instruments voice differently, and a side-by-side, you may hear it. But hand me the PMA5 as my daily DOS MIDI module, and I wouldn't complain once. Since the PMA5 can run on batteries, you can throw it in a backpack and pair it with a laptop. Suddenly, you have a fully portable General MIDI rig for the next retro meetup, convention floor, or just wandering room to room in your own house. Back to the PCM-3370 for a minute. It's another strong industrial board that performs well for more demanding titles. Quake runs noticeably faster here than on my Pentium MMX builds, and enabling right combining with FASTVID doubles performance to over 50 frames per second at 640 by 480. The drawback, though, is it can be too fast for speed-sensitive titles. Getting them into a playable range, for example Test Drive, you will need to disable cache, and together with some software slowdown utility like setmul or moslow. This is where a Pentium MMX is preferable. Still, it is a fast, stable, and solid addition to my PC104 lineup. So, can the PMA5 replace an SC55? For pure, uncompromising authenticity, no. The SC55 still owns that. But for a compact DOS build, especially one living in the PC104 world, the PMA-5 is brilliant, compact, and close enough to the sound Canva experience that the difference barely matters in practice. It isn't perfect. The most noticeable omission is the lack of backlight, which can make the screen difficult to read in dim lighting. But that's a small compromise. For me, it's become one of the most underrated pieces of retro computing hardware I've come across. As for where the space-saving series goes next, I don't think it's the last you'll see of PC104 on this channel, but with boards becoming increasingly scarce and expensive, I'll be shifting my focus towards industrial motherboards with standard ISA and PCI backplanes. In fact, while making this video, I've picked up a few single board PCs that can't wait to be tested, but that's a project for another day. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next one.